I've received a threatening letter from the State Solicitor's Office of Western Australia from John Young, Deputy State Solicitor. He doesn't even have his name on the bottom, but he signed it, and it's got contact details there. Who's threatening me because of the public interest disclosure that I made under the Public Interest Disclosure Act of 2003 in regards to Chaney, President of the State Administrative Tribunal, who's totally corrupt, and the people, the psychiatrist who's murdering my brother and the staff that are helping her, Vinnie Ho, and Laurie Lehman-Bybach and the public advocate and the public trust who's stolen all of his money, and all this time I've been fighting for David's life and for his rights and to get his money back and also get his licence back and to stop their murdering. He'll be dead in 5 years' time if they don't stop, because that's what they do. They murder people with their treatments, and they've been doing it for 200 years all over the world, and they're good at it. And now they've got the State Solicitor's Office threatening me with legal action. Well, you can't do it because I do have protection and immunity under Section 13 of the Public Interest Disclosure Act. I cannot incur any civil or criminal liability for doing so, and I cannot incur any disciplinary action or be dismissed from a job. I don't work for the government because they're basically a lot of too many corrupt people. And I have made a proper public interest disclosure under Section 5 of the Public Interest Disclosure Act of 2003. I have reported this corruption and what they're doing to my brother under Section 5, subsection 3, where the information relates to an act or omission that constitutes an offence under a written law is made to a police officer or the Corruption and Crime Commission. I've filed reports with the Corruption and Crime Commission, with the Commissioner of Police, and I've also made it under subsection 3E, so both subsection 3A and subsection 3E, where the information relates to a judicial officer, it is made to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and I have made a public interest disclosure report to the Supreme Court, to the Chief Justice. Where a public interest disclosure falls within 2 or more paragraphs of subsection 3, then it is made to a proper authority if made to any or all of the authorities contemplated by the applicable paragraph. So I have made a proper public interest disclosure to the Commissioner of Police, to the Corruption and Crime Commission, and to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So I do have immunity under Section 13, protection and immunity, from any threatening, bullying action that the State Solicitor's Office might want to take about me for free political speech, for speaking the truth. Because what they're doing there in that State Administrative Tribunal, because of psychiatry, is they are murdering people and they are stealing people's assets and money. And here's the evidence. On the 28th of February of 2012, they stole $64,290, $64,290.01. They closed the account, Westpac account of David's. Despite my the family's objection. And I have a right to tell the public what you're doing. I absolutely have a right to tell the public. So you want to threaten me? Well, I'm happy to name you as well, Jay Young of the State Solicitor's Office, who's trying to protect criminals working, getting paid, taxpayer-funded criminals working in the government who are corrupt. Chaney destroyed 4 guardianship documents, 2 enduring guardianship documents and 2 enduring attorney documents, family documents. He just destroyed them. And he destroyed all of David's statutory rights that I identified. And he was in breach of Section 4 of the Guardianship Administration Act, ignoring less restrictive means, and he actively, aggressively destroyed David's rights, and he actively, aggressively destroyed my family's rights, despite a full year of hearings. So he's totally corrupt. A permission to release information signed by David, and they wouldn't give information to me. That's how corrupt they are. Reports to the Ombudsman of Western Australia. They got rid of David's legal aid lawyer, Chaney did, and he used the State Solicitor's Office, Peter Sprague, in a hearing to do it. That's how corrupt he is, using government lawyers to destroy a single person's statutory rights and the rights of their family. They got rid of Jeanette McCowan of the legal aid. Chaney got rid of David's lawyer, and that was the legal aid lawyer that I fought for him to have. Letters from the Minister for Mental Health, Helen Morton, who's done absolutely nothing to help my family and my brother. Letter from the Corruption and Crime Commission, who's done absolutely nothing to help my brother and my family. Letters from the Commissioner of Police, who've done absolutely nothing to help my brother and my family. There's two of them. Two Supreme Court judges in the Supreme Court who are corrupt. J.A. Nunes and J.A. Murphy, who lied in judgment transcripts by saying, here are the judgment transcripts, Nunes and Murphy, who totally lied in these judgment transcripts and said that I hadn't used the legal basis in my appeal in the Supreme Court. And this notice of appeal is full of legislation that I quoted where they were in breach of David's statutory human rights. Breach of Section 46 of the State Administrative Tribunal Act 2004. Breach of Section 47(1)(b) of the State Administrative Tribunal. Breach of 47(1)(c) the State Administrative Tribunal Act of 2004. Breach of Section 48(1)(b) of the State Administrative Tribunal 2004. That's Chaney. Breach of Section 48(1)(d) of the State Administrative Tribunal Act 2004. Breach of Section 8 of the Defamation Act 2005. Breach of Section 17A1 of the Guardianship and Administration Act. Breach of Principles of Section 4 of the Guardianship and Administration Act 1990. Breach of Schedule 1 of the Disability Service Act 1993. Gross breach of David's statutory and human rights. Breach of Section 5 and Section 6 of the Disability Discrimination Act 1992. Direct and indirect discrimination against David. Breach of Section 35A, 66A and 53 of the Equal Opportunity Act 1984. Gross discrimination and forced drugging compliance of David. Discrimination against David's family. Breach of Section 50 of the State Administrative Tribunal Act of 2004. President refused to transfer a case to a more appropriate forum on request to the Supreme Court, endangering the life of David. Breach of Section 30A of the Guardianship and Administration Act 1990. Nothing in this Act affects the inherent jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to act justly. So I outlined all those breaches, in addition to an application where I outlined breach of Section 16 of the Supreme Court Act, where Justice Allinson in the Supreme Court did not act in the interest of justice, and breach of Section 3A of the Guardianship and Administration Act 1990. Nothing in this Act affects the inherent jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to act justly, and the Supreme Court Act of 1935, Section 16, where they can order a Royal Commission or an investigation. In addition to affidavits that I filed, where I outlined statutory provisions protecting David, is another affidavit that I filed with the Supreme Court, outlining David's statutory provisions protecting him. Is another affidavit that I filed with the Supreme Court, outlining details about the case. Here's a 16-page writ of summons endorsed with a statement of claim that I filed with the Supreme Court, which Nunes and Judges Nunes and Murphy and Allinson and the President of the State Administrative Tribunal had access to. That's a 16-page writ of summons endorsed with a statement of claim that these judges had access to. In addition to an 11-page writ of summons endorsed with a statement of claim that I filed with the District Court of Western Australia in regards to this case. So he absolutely lied. They absolutely lied. And I have reported it, that I had reported it in a discontinuance notice in the Supreme Court, because it was obvious to me that those judges are corrupt and they weren't going to do anything to help David and my family. I am unable to to continue with these appeals as they will succeed with the legislative, moral, factual and evidential argument presented by me. However, the judges concerned have proven in their judgment transcripts they will not uphold my brother David's statutory human rights identified and have blatantly lied in these judgment transcripts. On the basis of cruelty, injustice and corruption, I cannot proceed. I call into question the injustice and corruption of J. Allinson, who is a Supreme Court judge who did absolutely nothing to help my family and my brother. And when I told him of what Chaney was doing, he did absolutely nothing. J.A. Nunes and J.A. Murphy of the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal judges, and the President of the State Administrative Tribunal, Chaney. In particular, Chaney has deliberately destroyed my brother's David's statutory human rights identified, and Allinson, Nunes and Murphy in the Supreme Court would not uphold his rights. Blatant lies include, this is what they said in these judgment transcripts, these two judges, and they totally lied. They said, quoted from the transcripts, the essential circumstances the proceedings came before the tribunal are set out in its reasons for decision and they do not appear to be controversial. Well, obviously they're highly controversial because I went to the District Court and the Supreme Court. Page 4.3 in 214. And this is a quote from what they've said, these corrupt judges. No question of law has been identified by the appellant, me, and none is apparent from the affidavit or from any of the submissions put by the appellant, me, on the hearing of the application. And that is directly from page 7.15 of this transcript, hearing transcript. When all of my documents are full of legislative argument about the rights, the statutory laws, the acts in force protecting David's rights. And they totally blatantly lied. All of the documents I have filed, including notice of appeal, applications, affidavits and the writ of summons who Nunes and Murphy had admitted that they had read, included detailed legislative arguments that my brother's statutory human rights and his life are being destroyed, and the activities in the set are highly controversial since our family's strong objections from the start, including a Supreme Court hearing before Justice Allinson. I note Section 83 of the Criminal Code for corruption causing detriment to any person is an offence and liable to 7 years imprisonment. I will pursue this through the public domain, through publishing literature and political advocation and through the CCC. My brother's life is being destroyed and the Stat President Chaney and the Supreme Court judge's name have allowed it and are allowing it to happen. And I will not pay any economic cost for cruelty, injustice and corruption against my brother, against me and against my family. So don't threaten me with a disgusting threatening letter, J. Young, when I've got protection and immunity under the Public Interest Disclosure Act and I'm happy for the entire world to know about what's happened here, because I have a right to say it. And you're using government funds and government resources to try and prosecute an individual citizen, which is corruption in itself. If you think that you have a right to do this to citizens in our society, you don't have a right. I don't care who you are and what your position is. You're nothing but a human being who is involved in destroying the lives of citizens in our society. And that's all you are. And you'll come before the judgment seat of Christ, of Jesus Christ, who's going to judge every single one of you for this, for sinning against my brother and my family. And you will be condemned for it. So don't threaten me with, all you can threaten people with is economic costs. You're going to try and cripple me economically and take my home and make me homeless. That's what you're going to do, or try and throw me in jail. Because that's all you do. That's all you can do, is cripple citizens with economic costs and threaten to throw them in jail. And that's all you judges and magistrates do, is people that work for the State Solicitor's Office, taxpayer-funded government employees threatening citizens, using enormous power over a citizen. And you're going to be judged for that. You don't have a right to do it, using taxpayer money to threaten people, so you can go to hell. Breaches of Section 83 of the Criminal Code 1933, corruption. Any public officer who without lawful authority or reasonable excuse, subsection C, acts corruptly in the performance or discharge of the functions of his office or employment so as to cause detriment, whether pecuniary or otherwise, to any person, is guilty of a crime and is liable to imprisonment for 7 years. That's Chaney. And you want to gather around here with your resources and try and prosecute me, you're not going to do it because I have protection under the Public Interest Disclosure Act of 2003, in addition to about 5 federal cases which allow me to have free political speech. And as long as you speak the truth, as long as citizens talk the truth and tell the truth and have evidence, how much evidence do you want of what they've done? As long as it's the truth and you've got evidence, it is not defamation. And the truth is, you're all corrupt. You are. And you want to help them do this? You're not going to succeed. Because I'm happily giving your name to the public, John Young, Deputy State Solicitor. Your letter is full of rubbish. Because I have protection under the Public Interest Disclosure Act 2003. We live in a democracy, freedom and democracy. And if you're going to hurt me or my family, I will tell the entire world. And you deserve it. You totally deserve it.